Rahu and Ketu are like a dance or a seesaw, you feel me? It's a unified body and it's an action, so they really shouldn't be read separately. You really want to read them like, you feel me, simultaneously and whatnot, right? At least in my opinion, you feel me? Excuse me, at least I do. But nah, see, when it comes to Rahu and Ketu, Ketu is showing the oversaturation of activity. You know what I'm saying? And too much of anything can eventually become a bad thing. You drink too much water, you feel me? You can fuck around and kill yourself. You know what I'm saying? So, like, oversaturation or too much of a bad thing is going to eventually cause complications or imbalance within the being. You know what I'm saying? Uh, it's too much of a stagnation in one particular area of life. And K2 often showcase cases where we find safety and comfortability. But if you get too comfortable, if you get too attached to safety, you know what I'm saying? That's stagnation. You're no longer growing. You're no longer evolving. It's no way for you to get out of the cycle of death and rebirth. You feel me? So you need Rahu in order to break the cycle of death and rebirth, which is why Lord Vishnu in the Mahini Avatar commissioned Rahu and Ketu to both do the work of freeing beings from the cycle of death and rebirth. Not just Ketu. Ketu doesn't just signify moksha by itself. It does, but it's both of them. It's Rahu and Ketu together. They both were allotted the task of freeing souls from the cycle of death and rebirth, right? So yeah, like K2, it can show where you're stuck. It can show the compulsive, mindless attachment. Both of them deal with attachment in some way, and both of them deal with liberation. You feel me? It's really like two sides of the same coin, or the principle of polarity. Hot and cold both being temperature at the end of the day. If y'all get what I'm alluding to, so all right, fuck it. Let's just deal with K2 in relation to his attachments. K2 can showcase a blind, mindless attachment to a particular safety, a particular comfort, or a particular area of life. But in this life, K2 itself, or the node of K2 itself, is going to cause issues or problems in relation to this area of life. Shit is always going to get shooken up. You're going to feel like what's going on. You're not necessarily able to see clearly the issue in this particular area, and this can often bring detachment, which is why K2 signifies detachment. This alone can often bring a dislike or a dispassion for this particular thing, and often a person is pushed to let go, because clinging is not at all going to solve the issue of K2, right? Rahu, on the other hand, it represents, you know what I'm saying, the opposite of K2, or what we believe will be able to pull us out of this particular attachment. And it's like Rahu is kind of like a false substitute. Like if you're trying to get off cake, yeah, maybe you try to substitute it with a different desire or something that you feel like you don't have. You got off cake, and now you run into fucking milkshakes, or different food. Like you're just trying to substitute it with something else in order to find some sense of completeness within your being. But that's not necessarily the answer either, right? The answer is balance, moderation, stasis. K2 is not saying that you have to completely give up that particular thing or area of life either. Don't make the mistake believing that you just give up all of your past life talents, accumulations, and wisdom. First of all, that's not necessarily possible. Second, it's not wise at all, even if it was possible. You feel me? You've worked for these particular accumulations, these particular gifts, life lessons, or whatever that are to benefit you in this carnation and those to come, right? So it's not like you're just supposed to give it up. You're just supposed to loosen the attachment, loosen the dogma, loosen the mindlessness in regards to this particular area in order to get deeper into the truth, or deeper into the moksha. That's what Ketu is signifying, right? And Rahu is, the desire to evolve, the desire to break out of the stagnation, the desire to achieve a higher echelon, a pinnacle, immortality of some sort, or you feel me, exalted state of some sort. It's the desire to do that. And it's usually attached to something that you've never been before or have never really experienced uh in the previous incarnation. And the thing about Rahu is you're not necessarily familiar with this territory, but you have a real zest for it. You have a real obsession for it. You have a real focus on it. So the thing about Rahu, you especially if it has more of an intense presence than Ketu in a chart, right? So maybe more planets are sitting with Rahu than Ketu, or Rahu is sitting with Mars and Venus. No planets are sitting with Ketu. You feel me? This is going to intensify the influence of Rahu over Ketu within the chart, right? And this can signify a personality, you know what I'm saying, who has a stronger Rahu influence, or who has more of a lust, who has more of the desire capacity, who has more of an ability to take those risks or step out of the stagnation, or to push barrier, to push a boundary, to evolve, to gain, to reap, to succeed, all of these things and whatnot, right? But the thing about Rahu, it has kind of a criminal nature. Rahu likes to cut corners, especially if it wants something really bad. You gotta think about it. If you're really hungry, you don't feel like sitting down and cooking like making a meal that might take like an hour, 2 hours to prepare. You don't feel like going through all that. Like if you're really hungry, if you're really lusting after something, you don't like, if you really want to fuck a bitch, you're not trying to go on like date for 3-4 months and vet out her personality and get to know the intricacies of her person and her being. You're not trying to go all of that. Like if the lust, if the zest, if the passion is at a high enough level, you want it, you want to get to it as soon as possible, right? And you're going to do whatever it takes to manipulate your way to that goal, or to get to that particular desired outcome as soon as possible. Now, this is where Rahu often gets himself into traps, or basically gets his head cut off. You feel me? Because you were not willing to basically take your time, because you were not willing to have patience or wisdom about yourself, because you were not willing to calm down the lustfulness, or the energetic readiness to obtain your desire. It's a heightened potentiality that you can experience getting your head cut off, or that you can experience certain backlashes, like let's say in regards to the area of you wanting to sleep with a woman, right? You don't know this bitch from a can of paint, you feel me? Y'all just happen to be at the club, y'all hit it off, you take her back to the house, you know what I'm saying? Y'all drunk and shit or whatever, your desires take over. You wake up in the morning, it's a whole nigga. You just fucked a nigga. Degratulations. Can't congratulate you because now you on the hill because you defied the commandment of Yahweh, right? Let me chill out. But no, like that's Rahu activity. You move too fast, you cut corner, you didn't adhere to Dharma. You basically let lust lead and guide you into a particular situation, and you didn't properly calculate. You slept with a nigga, or you caught something. You feel me? Or while you was knocked out, off the liquor and shit, she robbed you. You wake up, your crib empty. you know what I'm saying? And, right, like just scenarios like that. You got your desired object, you obtained what you wanted to obtain, but it came with a price. because you let Rahu cloud your perception. Basically, that's the problem with Rahu, right? Rahu can often, just because it inflates the strength of the desire, distorts the perception to where, something that you make it bigger than it actually is. Basically, you make this thing, this area of life, you make it way bigger, way more magnanimous, way more important than it actually is. You feel me? And that can be a problem in itself, because when you come to meet the attainment of that desire, it comes with a strong disillusionment that can often lead people to run back to the K2 situation, to run back to what they know to be comfortable, or what they know to be safe, or what they know to be, more so sattvic or spiritual, or whatever you want to call it, to try to balance that self off. It's always like an oscillation between Rahu and Ketu, you feel me? The goal is to properly balance the two. Like in the journey of the story, to where the demons and the gods were churning the ocean for I think it was for the immortal nectar, right? Was it? I haven't been in touch with the teaching so long, it's crazy. But yeah, I think they was churning the ocean, the demons and the gods, right? The demons was on the head of the churning instrument, which I think it was a serpent. It might have been a snake, or it was something. Whatever. I ain't been, yeah, it's been years since I read, I've been in the Vedic teachings, but anyway, the demons was at the head, the gods was at the tail, and it took the effort of both, the effort and the unison of both, in order to produce the desired objects out of that ocean. It wasn't just the demons churning on the Rahu end. It wasn't just the gods turning on the Ketu end. It was a collective, unified effort, a balanced effort of both that produced the immortal nectar and whatnot. And that's what has to be achieved in this particular lifetime. Unison between Rahu and Ketu. You know what I'm saying? It takes awareness and consciousness on both of the ends of these nodes in order to truly satisfy the inner being, and meet the external satisfactions as well. You have to be calm. You have to be perceptive. You have to be wise. In the pursuit of your desires, you shouldn't just give them up, because Rahu is needed energy. You know what I'm saying? Rahu is needed to pull Ketu out of the stagnation, and Ketu is needed to pull Rahu away from the blind pursuit, or to pull Rahu out of his pitfalls. So they're both needed, right? You need some awareness and perception about Ketu to understand that, listen, I might think I understand this particular area of life. I might think that I've experienced this thing, but no, it's like there's something I'm missing. There's some truths that I'm missing. I shouldn't be egotistical to assume that I've garnered or I've developed all of the truth about this particular thing or area of life, and that I can just drop it and leave it alone, that there's nothing else to learn. It's something else there. It's something that, like, K2 is like a needle in a haystack type of realization. You know what I'm saying? It's like you've missed a spot. You've learned a lot and you've accumulated a lot in this area, but you've missed a spot. It's certain parts of impurity that need to pull out before the realization or the moksha can take place. You know what I'm saying? In regards to the K2 placement, you keep it. It's like K2 is like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's something that you need to throw out, but you don't throw the baby out either. You don't throw the gifts out. You don't throw the talents out. You know what I'm saying? But you do throw the dirty water out. That's K2. Yeah, that's my synopsis on Rahu and Ketu, and I guess I'll do their unified influence throughout the houses or whatnot. Deontay Bay.